Okay, let's get started. Thank you for joining this live on ServiceNow webinar. This is about the May features, what was released in May for the Now Assist for ITSM. My name is Peter Goors. I'm a product manager, and Brian is here as well. Brian will answer as much as possible all the questions that you might have. If you have any questions, please go to the Q&A and ask those questions there. We should also have some time at the end of this session to answer any questions that live, if there are still ones left to be answered. So now it's just for ITSM. I hope that the people that are joining have seen this before or know about it, because this session is, like I said, primarily focusing on the May features that were released in, what is it, 2 weeks ago? So, as I mentioned, we will have some time at the end of this session. It should not go over 1 hour. We will record a presentation, and it will be shared on the ServiceNow community later on after some editing. So we make sure that no personal information about you will be shared. Oh yeah, and after the event, you will get an email, or actually you will be prompted to fill out a survey. And it would be great if you would do so, because we really need that feedback to improve our webinars and events. You will see a lot of information also in this session, so there's too much that you cannot remember, and therefore we have this slide. It shows you all the helpful resources when it comes to Now Assist for ITSM. You can find them in a community. So if you go to the ServiceNow community and select IT Service Management as a product, and then search for Now Assist, you get at least these articles, but there's much more actually. So please do. I think that Brian might actually share all these links in the chat panel. So take a copy of it, because after the webinar's closed, it's more or less gone. So I encourage you to take a copy of all those very helpful links. Okay. Although we're not intend to show any roadmap features, we might talk about them. And as always, don't base your investment decisions on what is on the roadmap, because roadmap can change, and they can change also because of your input. So we might reprioritize some of the features that we're actually working on. Now, just to get started, a couple of basic slides that we want to talk about, and then we go more into demo and just look at what is released. But what we always see is that customers, businesses, they're always looking for how can we increase the productivity while still having an exceptional user experience. And that's something that's been around for a long time, and I'm sure it will be will be here for a long time to stay. And so, what does that mean? What can we do here? Well, the challenges that we currently see is that if you think about, especially in the context of incident management, there is quite some limitation in self-service, in the sense that not all the content is available for self-service. And when you do have self-service, think, for instance, KB articles or virtual agent chatbots, it's not always that engaging. So there is an opportunity there. Also, when you think about the information, where is all that information? A lot of information is actually kept in the heads of people, or on Excel sheets or Word docs that are not shared with everyone. And that makes it difficult, first for the triaging, but also if you want to reuse that information to solve tickets. So where we see the opportunities is actually with the personas here, with the employees and the agents. The employees, the requesters, as mentioned before, self-service content does not always exist. And so you're more or less forced into an action with a live agent, which is good in itself, but it's not always available. When you're a live agent, as working at a service desk, so the first line agent, what you then challenge is that when an employee requests something, you have to go through that whole chat, find and understand what that chat was all about with the virtual agent before you get a grasp on what that issue is all about. That takes time, while there's a lot of pressure from the employee because he or she needs the help now. And then when you go looking for an answer, that content is not always accessible. And it has a couple of reasons, like I said before, because sometimes content is stored somewhere else and not on the system. So you have to either swivel chair or if you can access it at all, because very often it's also not accessible for the first line agents. And that has to do with the fact that that knowledge is not always stored on a platform. Then, so if you cannot, as a first line agent, cannot solve it, you have to transfer it to a second line agent. And then that is actually a bit like what we happened before with the live agent handoff. You see that again when you transfer the incident, that not all the steps are documented. Not everything that has been done has already been done, has been documented. And so the second line agent more or less starts over again, understanding what is this issue all about and how are we going to solve this for the customer. And so there's a lot of time involved here. And that means also that just simply very often, it's not that straightforward to document all your solution steps that you did. So you reported something like, oh, it's resolved, done, on to the next one. Also, it's very often, it's not that easy, intuitive to record all those solution steps that you did. So that's where Now Assist comes in. And what we want to achieve is more self-service. That will also reduce the MTTR. Okay. With self-service, more self-service and better and shorter MTTR when it goes to agents, it will improve the service quality, which is a better experience for both the requester and the agent, and in the end, of course, a lower total cost of ownership. Once again, it's thinking about how can we do more with the same amount of people, while at the same time maintain a great experience. And so we created a solution, Now Assist for ITSM, that addresses needs for the requester and agents, as we will see also in a second, but also for the platform owner. The way we have built this solution, developed the solution, we really focus on making sure that it's almost something like a turnkey activation. So no long implementation path moving forward. Okay, so basically, Now Assist capabilities, it's really about understanding the large language models. What is it that they do? It's all about understanding the context and the intent. A request comes in, the LLM understands it, understands the context, understands sentiment, and so on. And then the next step is find that information and make it relevant, make it, especially when sometimes information can be very long text and things like that, but make it simple, make it consumable, so you can, as a requester, can get back up to speed really fast. And the third part is about generate the content. And generating the content will also help building up that knowledge management that will help in the end, the whole shift left movement. Because incident management, even with Now Assist, one of the primary things that you focus on is the shift left. making sure there's more self-service, making sure there's a lower MTTR, and doing more with the same amount of people. About these large language models, I'm sure you have heard about the general purpose ones, like the open LLM models. And what we do is, because those open models, like OpenAI or Microsoft Azure OpenAI, they are very good at generating also a response. But what they lack is that domain-specific information, like you have in your knowledge base. And so we combine the two into one solution and make that available to your requesters and to your agents. Any questions so far that we should address?
We're good right now, Peter.
Okay, good. Okay, so what I want to do is show you what we have released for the May, in the May release, and that is primarily for the three personas: the requester, the agent, and the admin. So let me show you what that looks like if I log in, not as Abel, but as Eliza. Eliza is in this case a requester, and she has access to the ServiceNow Employee Center portal. And what she wants to do is, in this case, she's not going to search, but what she's going to do is have a communication with the virtual agent, because one of the things that we have released is about out-of-the-box LLM topics. So to get you faster up to speed, there are some new topics that are available within VA, and they are LLM based. And they include something like create a ticket, check the ticket status, add a comment, escalate a ticket, and so on. But let's see how that works. So here we have the virtual agent. It's LLM powered. So that means in this case, what I can do is use a natural language and say, create a ticket for ID batch. And then now LLM, the virtual agent comes back and says, okay, what's the urgency of your issue? And for demo purposes, I go for low. And in this case, that is what it needs to know. So it has created a ticket and says, hey, it's a ticket for a lost ID batch, stated new, and the planning is, or the priorities on planning. If I open it up also in the request portal, we can see here that both the virtual agent and the ticket itself, the urgency is low. So that is what we selected, right? It's a low urgency. And so after some time, this ticket is still open. And then Eliza goes back in and says, hey, I want to see what is the ticket status. So she asked for a check of the ticket status. And what the virtual agent comes back with is saying, oh, well, actually, you have 5 open incidents and 2 requested items. Which status would you like to check? And once again, this is a topic that we delivered out of the box. So you can simply activate this, and it is available in your system as well. In this case, we want to see what the status is for this ticket we just created, but it's demo, so because we're about a day later. And we see here a couple of open tickets, open incidents that Eliza has filed. So in this case, we're going to look for this ticket, create a ticket for lost ID batch, and in the virtual agent, I got that information back. Now, what I can do here as Eliza, I can say, yes, I'd like to add a comment here. because it looks that nothing has happened. So any update on status? And as you can see, this comment that I just added to the ticket is also added to this ticket here. So it's that conversation that we're having with a virtual agent updating records in the system. So there's no live agent so far being involved. And then, okay, looks fine. Thanks for using the support chat. Now, another day passes by. The ID badge is still not fixed, but now I have an issue as Eliza because I have to go to the office for a customer meeting, so I need a working ID badge. And so what I'm going to ask for is, in this case, what I'll do is I need to escalate a ticket. And then it's asking, of course, which ticket, because we have several open. And in this case, I'll select the lost ID badge. It says fine, but please enter a justification. And the reason is, well, I need this resolved today for a customer meeting. And as you can see, that comment is added, but also the urgency is updated to medium. Now, this gives you, I think we have in total of 6 or 7 out of the box LLM topics released in May. This one was only primarily about tickets and status and so on. We also have it an out of the box topic for service disruptions and outages, and we have a set of out of the box topics for password reset. And so once again, that's all released in May, available to you when you have your Now Assist for ITSM license. As I mentioned, you can simply take them activated. If needed, you could do some tweaking, but in general, this is how it works. Okay. This is for the requester. We'll go to slides later on, and then you see a good list of the things that we have released in May. Next, what I want to show you is for the agent. And in that case, will log in as Abel Tutor. Abel is here in his workspace. In this case, Abel is a fulfiller, so not first line, but more second line, third line. And he has tickets assigned to him. And so what he's going to do is resolve a ticket. You already know that with the incident, you can have a summarization. We already had earlier released the resolution generation. And what was previously in controlled go-to-market is now general available is the knowledge-based generation. Now, I'm here as Able Tutor. I'm in a workspace, the service operation workspace. This also works, by the way, in UI 16. And I see that there are instances assigned to me. So let me check which instances are assigned to me. And it's about this one. Can't connect to VPN. So I open this one up. And I see that this instance is ongoing for some time. So we have quite a lot of entries in activity stream. Here's a great one. It has a lot of information, which is all fine. But as Joe mentioned, more or less, it looks all okay here. So what we can do is resolve this ticket. So when I resolve this ticket, of course, we get what we have seen before, the resolution notes. And in this case, I say it's all fine. and I'll say solution provider. So this is not new. We had this before, and it resolved this ticket. And once it resolves, okay, we then want to actually create a knowledge base article out of this. So I'll create a knowledge, and I'll select as the knowledge base knowledge, and as a template, we select standard. As you can see here, we also support the KCS, so the Knowledge Center Services. KCS is a framework to do knowledge management, and it has a couple of predefined processes for authoring and editing and publishing knowledge articles. In this case, I'll go for the standard, meaning we will not use the KCS processes and flows. So I'll go for standard and say create article. And we get here a message. Do you want to write it yourself? Well, in this case, for the demo, no, let's draft with Now Assist. And what you have seen before, it was a very long resolution available, and here are all the steps that need to be done. Going back to what we said before, this is what you should do. If you want to make the shift left with incident management and get a better experience for your requesters, you need knowledge management. And of course, when we have knowledge management and knowledge-based articles, that's not only the requesters that can use it, but could also be the agents. It depends a bit on what it is, what that knowledge base is all about. Sometimes the requester cannot do it all by themselves if they have install things or not. But in this case, it looks so good. And what we did now with the knowledge base or the knowledge article generation is make this tab really simple. As always, what you always have to do is check if what is generated is correct, if it does not miss anything. But this saves you a lot of time compared to doing this all manually. And that's where Now Assist comes in. Now, in this case, it looks all good to me. Quick check. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. And I will also publish this, select this. And so now it is part of your knowledge base. And so how does that work now? If I go back to Eliza, and let's go back to the homepage here. Okay. Now, when I search for how to connect to VPN or unable to connect to VPN, doing the search, and it finds this article that I just created. And so when I show more, I can see all the stuff that I need to do. If I want some additional background information, I can always open up the source and see some, like I said, additional information. But that's how easy it is now is to update your knowledge base, and so make that available for requesters to help themselves. So we have this somewhat complicated ticket, this complicated issue, and with knowledge management, we can make it such that the requester can help themselves. So this issue, if it comes up again, will never become an incident again. And that's the best way to do incident management, right? To have 0 incidents. So that's a bit the thinking here. Any questions so far that we need to address, Brian?
Yes. So one question from Christina: if the user enters the incident ID, will the process be faster? E.g., will it go directly to that record? And which use case would this be best for? Is it, for example, is this better for a user that's using a cell phone or some other medium?
And that incident number was related to?
I think it was the create a badge, the demo that you just went through.
Okay. Yes, potentially it will find, of course, anything faster when you have that ID number. But as you can see here, at least for the knowledge base, it's a good example. It finds more than just this one thing, right? It finds multiple knowledge base articles. But it picked the top one because that one seems the one that is all about unable to connect to VPN and summarizes that. I thought it was pretty fast, but like I said before, when you use an idea, it will be faster, absolutely.
We have another question about whether we can integrate with Teams. That answer is yes. Peter, if you want to add more to that, please do so.
Yeah, so, and well, one more thing. Yes, Now Assist integrates with Teams, but it is also because Virtual Agent already integrates with Teams. And the integration with Teams is already available from a standard license. So every one of you have the ability to integrate with Teams. If you don't have Virtual Agent, there's still other things that you can do. So the Teams integration is not necessarily dependent on your license for Now Assist. If you have Virtual Agent, you can already integrate that with Teams.
Okay, we have one more question about, can you have NLU in knowledge and LLMVA in enterprise platform for ITSM services?
Can you have, repeat that again?
Can you have the NLU powered virtual agent in the knowledge portal and the LLM powered virtual agent in enterprise platform for ITSM services?
Yeah, so you configure for which portals the LLM is available, and so that means for the other portals the NLU VA is available, but it is per portal, so you cannot say have a mixer in there. With the LLM, you could have a fallback in the sense that when the LLM cannot figure it out, you can still fall back and you can make, I think we'll touch upon that later on. A topic needs to be conversational, as we call that. And we'll show that in a bit as well. So as long as the topic is not conversational, it will use the fallback option. And that is more or less going back to what you're used to. Does that answer the question?
And then one more question around, do all knowledge articles drafted using Now Assist use the same format?
Oh, you can say, well, what I showed you is the template. So you can have a different template, multiple templates, not necessarily KCS, but you could have multiple non-KCS templates. So it depends on what it is that you select. And what I did as a second line agent, I created the knowledge base article and I did publish it. Usually there's a step in between an approval. So there's always a second pair of eyes that will check if what is created, if that is a good enough, good quality knowledge base article.
Great. I think we can go ahead and continue. Peter, I'll answer the rest of the questions in the chat and Q&A.
Okay. Another thing that we have released in May is prompt management, as we call it. This is the very first iteration. Expect much more in the August and November release. It will not be just a one-time thing. It is something that we will keep iterating on. And so what does that look like, the prompt management? So let me switch back to Able. And Abel is also an admin. So Abel, what Abel will do is go to now sysadmin. And so for admins, when they come in, the now sysadmins, they get this landing page on which they can already see. And this is not new, but let me show you this quickly. Here you can see what the plugin status is, what is installed, what is not installed, which skills are active, and so on. And also, you can see the skill usage, the number of actions. In this case, it's for the last 7 days, number of unique users, the trend, and so on. So this is something that is available with the Now Assist for the Now Assist admin, and is out of box. I show it as it is out of box. When you go to the configuration of the Now Assist features, you can see there are several domains, and ITSM is in what we call the technology domain. But for CSM, you go to customer. For HRSD, you go to employee. And for the developers, you go to creator. And there are 2 platform capabilities, and those are the VA and search. So have Now Assist with virtual agent, or have Now Assist in AS search. But in this case, this is the prompt configuration, and what I'm going to demo is how that looks like with the incidents. So we have here the 3 different basics skills: the chat, the knowledge, and the incident. And in incident, there are actually multiple skills. Now, let's take a look at the details. And what we see here, we have incident summarization. 2 are inactive. 1 is inactive, has been used, but is inactivated. The other is still in draft. But let me show you what it looks like when we go to this active skill about incident summarization. And so what is new is that you can determine the input data, and you do so for the different input templates. And an input template is primarily based on the phase in the life cycle that an incident is. So it is a new, it is a work in progress, it's resolved or closed. If you think about incident summarization, for each of those phases, you want a different type of summarization. And so for the incident new, you can see here that the base input table is incident, and when we have a new incident, we want to use the short description, the priority and description of that incident. But now we can, and you cannot change this. This is, as you can see, it is grayed out. So these are the basics that you need to have. You can add to that summarization other input fields from, in this case, the incident table. So here you can see it's work notes, additional comments. There will not be a lot when you have a new incident. Okay. Next, what you would do is for this particular phase in a life cycle, you will say the state is new. And you can add another data source, but let me demo you that with, for instance, this template, work in progress. So in work in progress, more or less the same basic fields. The state, of course, is different. In this case, it's just taken from the choice list. It's in progress or on hold. I can add another condition if I want to. But what's more interesting is I can add additional input data sources. So other tables, related tables, tables that make sense in the context of an incident. In this case, here's an example of adding the SLA task table, or maybe the affected CIs or the impacted CIs. And you can add more data sources. Okay. And the same, of course, is true for resolved. It's for closed. It looks on scan. It looks a bit different. You have more fields in there. I would be very surprised if you say I'm not interested in resolution nodes of code. But okay, it's up to you how you want to do it. Maybe you're not using the out-of-the-box ones. Maybe you have custom ones. So that's something that you could consider and say, okay, let's use the custom ones instead of the out-of-the-box ones. That is for the input data, and then we go to the next stage, and that's general details. Nothing has happened here. It's more on this page to customize the prompt. So once you have set up your input, now you want to also set up the output. And with the new incidents, we have a header called issue, and it shows you the issue. And if you want to see what that looks like, what you can do is, I think this is a good one. Just test how this works. So in general, what you would see, hey, the issue is customer reported a lost phone, but later found it non-functional and needs it for upcoming traffic. So for this particular incident, this is what the summarization would look like. Now, the same is true for work in progress or resolves. There are, as you can see, when I move over, I get additional sections that can be part of the prompt, the output prompt, so the summary in this case. And as an example, let's go for this one, run test. And so that prompt, in this case for the summary, incident summarization, is now going to look like this. Customer can connect to the VPN and so on. And the resolution, here the output length is 50 words. Finally, the close ones, if we take a one, here is a INC. I selected one before. And here we can see the issue, key actions taken, issue, key action taken, resolution, service level agreement, affected CIs, and child incidents. So this is the first step of prompt configuration. Like I said, is really a first step. There's much more on the way. And so expect much more in the August and November releases. But like I said, this is really the first step. Also, new in the May release is that we have the possibility to define the availability of skills. So the skill is always available, is still available, still there, but we can also customize the skill availability. And that is based on the condition builder, in this case for an incident. So you could say the incident summarization is available when the caller, and it's just the dot walk. I want to show the dot walk here. When the caller is, or the caller department is finance or HR or IT. Okay. Once again, this is also just a first iteration about the availability and visibility of skills. I expect more there also in upcoming releases. Questions?
We are good right now, Peter.
Okay. Well, let's move on. This is actually the demo part of the new features for that were released in May. There are more released, but not everything I'm going to demo. Let me go back to the slide deck. But just to reiterate a bit, what we have seen is for the 3 different personas, we have new features. Now it's just a requester. So we have now, with the May release, we have LLM topics for VA out of the box. It's about creating incidents and check statuses, escalate incidents, but also if there are outages, ask for outages. And we have out of the box topics for password resets and changes. That does require, though, that you use the ServiceNow password reset solution. It works together with the password reset solution. And what is important, if you think about the mission that we have, higher productivity while maintaining a good experience is that now the virtual agent can be an LLM-powered virtual agent, no longer an NLU-powered virtual agent. With an LLM-powered agent, virtual agent, you can ask questions in more or less natural language, and it will understand. Compare that with the NLU VA, where you have to create that model more or less of saying and combining, having those pairs of intents and utterances. And if you have not forgot to configure one of them, then the VA does not understand what's going on. With the LLM, well, as the name suggests, the large language model, it is all based on understanding the intent and the context of the questions asked. So that is a huge advantage in general for Now Assist when you use a virtual agent. As I showed you shortly also in the search, once again, this is not a new feature, but it's out there for, and you can use that. It's no longer a set of links that you get, but you get actionable steps that you can apply immediately. Integration, both mobile, but also in Microsoft Teams. So you can see the virtual agent in ServiceNow, including the LLM-powered virtual agent. Going for Now Assist for agents, new in the May release is the knowledge article generation. This one is really a big one, because this is the one that will improve the quality and also the quantity of your knowledge base articles. And so that really is like a flywheel effect on making that shift left. And a shift left means better experience, lower cost, more productivity. So that this is really key to all of that. As shown before, we support both the KCS and the non-KCS use cases. The incident summarization, there are a couple of enhancements that we done for the May release. That includes the live agent to live agent summarization. Before we had the virtual agent to live agent, but now we also have the live agent to live agent. Yeah, so if you have the quick actions in your chat, you can now trigger the incident creation from that chat. And also what we have is when you do the wrap up of a chat, the short description and description are copied over to the incident creation. Yeah, nothing new. I'm going to skip this. Just be sure that this is all available. Resolution notes generation. Nothing new there. It's already available. But it really, if you think about it, it speeds up the whole process of the incident lifecycle. And what I did not show you, but there's also, once again, nothing new. It's the Now Assist panel. So that is something that you can call wherever you are. There is this little button here that will open up the Now Assist panel. And from there, you can also do all the things that I've shown you. So in short, before you have Now Assist, what does it look like? The life cycle of the incident. The requester goes to the portal, tries to find an answer for an issue that they have, cannot find a knowledge article to help themselves. So they go to the virtual agent. Virtual agent does not have a topic for it. It's an NLU-based virtual agent. So there is a handoff to the live agent. The live agent has to go through the whole chat to understand what has been discussed between the employee and the virtual agent. That takes time. Okay. Once that live agent understands what it's all about, that live agent tries to find the knowledge article. There is no knowledge article. But luckily enough, there are similar incidents, although we're not that lucky, because in that incident that has been solved before, it's a similar incident, there was no time to put in meaningful resolution notes. So it says something like closed, solved, nothing special to report, and so on. In other words, the first line agent cannot solve this and has to hand it over to a second line agent. So the instance get reassigned. That means the next agent has to also go in, do a deep dive in the whole work stream and activity and everything that happened, but gets it, understands what the issue is, and so he or she will resolve the incident. But he's so much pressured for time that he or she does not find the time to write meaningful resolution notes, and so just says, okay, we have a knowledge gap. Now, this is a bit traditional and a bit over the top, but not completely over the top, and we see it a lot. So what does Now Assist do? With Now Assist, this whole lifecycle changes. What you will see is when you have the handover, there's a lot of time saved with the chat summary. Okay, the same when you do the reassignment of an incident, there's the incident summary, and so once again, the second level agent is up to speed within minutes about what this issue is all about. Okay, what's better, when he or she resolves it with a click of a button, it will generate resolution notes, and those resolution notes are now meaningful. So the next time that a same ticket comes in, those resolution notes can be reused by the first line agent. Okay, so there's no need for the first line agent to escalate to a second line. Okay, so you have an internal shift left here already. And it gets better now with the knowledge article creation. So after the resolution notes are generated, it's really easy, once again, click of a button, to create a knowledge article. Of course, you still have to check if it's all valid and so on, if it's complete, if it's accurate, but it saves you a lot of time. And with that knowledge-based article, of course, the first line can find the resolution easily. But what's more, the requester themselves can find a resolution and can help themselves. And that means, and also that is shown back in the search, that means that the same incident, the same issue, never becomes an incident again. And that's the big shift left. And it addresses a lot of KPIs, but in the end, it's all about improving that user experience and at the same time, increase agent productivity. Now Assist for admins. So what is new in the
Peter, we have a couple questions, if you don't mind, just right before we get move on. The first one is, for knowledge articles, is there any functionality for improving existing articles with Now Assist, aka adjusting formatting, reviewing the content for improvements, etc., etc.?
Not right now. I know it is on the roadmap, not necessarily the ITSM roadmap, but for knowledge management, and they have their own roadmap. But right now, we don't have it.
And then another question is, which languages are currently covered? Can we set up in multiple languages, or is it based on the user's language?
No, so basically, the current Now LLM is supported natively on English with dynamic translation. If you have set it up, that's a pro feature. What can happen is that the requester might ask in a non-English language a certain question or search for a KB article, which is available in English. And so with the dynamic translation, the question is translated, the knowledge-based article is found, it comes back with a summary, and that can be translated back into the language of the requester. But this is a first step. That is based on dynamic translation, a pro feature. What is on the roadmap for later this year is that we can also have LLM natively supporting other non-English languages. The first ones, and it's in 2 tiers. The first ones are French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, I believe, Dutch, Japanese. And then there will be a second tier of languages following that and that will, it's a long list of, I don't know, 10 different other languages. But that's all roadmap.
Okay, great. Thanks. You can continue.
Okay. Now, assist for admins. So what did we release in May? Prompt management. I showed you that. Customize your incident summaries. Once again, this is just the first iteration. It's available both in SOW and the classic UI. And you can decide what those headers look like, with what type of information, what type of fields that is populated. And I showed you also about the conditional visibility and access. So skills can now be set to always be visible or restricted per record condition. That is still separate from when you go to the select display. This is something that's currently already available, and make that available to particular user roles. So that's a different setting and still available. As I showed you quickly, in general, now it says admin. It's really easy to configure it. You guide it through this whole setup. It should not take that long to get started. Also included out of the box are analytics. How is analysis used? And there is, I did not show you that, but there is really a simplified virtual admin experience. Because if you think about LLM-powered topics, it's really primarily about what information do we need to collect to fulfill the request, and not so much about in which order do we need to collect this. That is the NLU-based VA. The LLM-based VA makes life so much easier. And so I have a couple of slides later on and explain it a bit more. One of the things that we also deliver out of the box, what we say is, for the current NLU topics, are these conversational or not? And we have a dashboard. If they are conversational, they can also be used in an LLM-powered VA. But sometimes topics have very specific variables, like price-related information and stuff like that. For now, that is not conversational, but we are making all those variables that we have conversational. Conversational. And so we have a conversational catalog overview. It's an out-of-the-box page, and it gives you recommendations on how to make certain catalog items conversational. But it shows here all the different catalog items and what's really important and how often are they used. And then it shows you there could be multiple reasons why a topic is not conversational, and it shows you, if you click on it, it shows you in detail what makes the topic current NLU topic not conversational. Because of time, I'm going to move on here for quickly. So talking about PA, virtual agent, the NLU virtual agent compared to the LLM virtual agent. In the NLU virtual agent, what you have is you have a catalog administrator. He or she will create a template based on which the business users will create a catalog item. That goes through a whole process of submitting and improving. Then you get the VA admin. He or she has to build and maintain a VA topic, and a VA topic that includes all those paths that a request can go. So with all the decisions and so on. Then you have to build and train an NLU model. And that's that set of intents and utterances and things like that. And then you have to test and publish this. This can take quite a bit, quite a bit of time, that VA admin work. And then finally, that request becomes available through VA, and it follows, as an employee, the NLU follows a bit of a rigid path. That you have to go in a certain order. That should all be taken care of by the admin, but sometimes you just miss one path or something else, or you missed a particular utterance. Anyways, you have to, it's not only creating this once, you also have to maintain it. Now, with Now Assist, what happens actually is you don't need that item template anymore. What you need is a catalog item creation, and that's really straightforward. You just say, this is the information that I need. Next, this whole part of the admin work, that is more or less gone. So the whole thinking of we have to create the path, we have to create the model with all the utterances and intents and so on. That is all taken care of by an LLM. That's what an LLM is all about, right? And then finally, on the employee side, they will also have an improved experience because it is no longer important in which order you ask the questions or how questions are answered. For instance, if you have something like a question like, in which region are you? If a requester answers EMEA or Europe, the LLM gets it. So that makes the life also for the requester a lot better. And that is also what Now Assist for ITSM brings. So, almost there. 2 questions for you. I hope you have the time to answer them. The first question is, and let me find that poll. Where is it? Where did it go? Oh. So the question here is, the first question is, hey, if you have upgraded to Pro or Enterprise, why have you not upgraded to Now Assist yet? And so these are all anonymous, but we are very interested to understand why it is, and also that helps us to come up with a better response. I'll run this for another 30
Yeah, while
seconds.
we're waiting for our participants to answer the poll, Peter, we do have a couple other Q&A questions.
Okay.
The first one is, does the same Now Assist incident management workflow apply to processing service requests?
In the sense of catalog items, or?
I'm not 100% sure. Like we support ordering catalog items, we support incident management. Whether the service request falls into one of those categories kind of depends on how it's set up, I think.
Yeah. But
And
in
then
general, yeah. So if you think about it, with Now Assist in itself, we don't change the workflow that you currently have. What we do during those steps in that workflow, we make it easier for you. You click a button, and if you don't click a button, if you don't want an incident summarization, fine. If you don't want to automatically generate resolution notes, fine. But the option is there, the possibility is there, and it makes life easy for you. That is what it primarily is.
Another question is, does virtual agents support order guides as being conversational?
I don't think that it does yet, but I'm not an expert on this part. But I don't think that is supported yet. Okay, I'm going to end this poll, and I have a second question for you. And let me. And this is more like, if you could fill out, where is it? Come on. Here we go. If you can elaborate a bit on why it is that you don't use Now Assist yet, that would be great. Also, after this webinar, you will be getting a request to fill out a survey. Once again, that helps us improving on these sessions. So for future more quality sessions, please fill out the survey. I know we're already over the hour. I'm sorry about that. That is one of my things that I have to work on. I talk too slow. Anyways, also, if you want to know more about the GenAI roadmap, in that survey that you get, you can leave your company and email address, and then we will get back to you, inviting you for a GenAI roadmap session. So if you're interested, please leave your email address in follow-up call that you get after you are out of this webinar. And that is more or less the thing that we want to talk about. I want to thank you all. I'll leave the call for this one open, the last one. I can imagine that it takes a bit more time to answer that one. I want to thank you all. Be aware there are more Now Assist sessions coming up. And actually, the first one is on Thursday. Brian will host that one. And Brian, what is the topic for Thursday?
We're basically just going to go through how to actually turn on and start using the May release features. So Peter today just showed you, what those features can do. And then on Thursday, I'll show you how to actually activate them, configure them, and get them set up so you can get up and running. So it'll just be a little bit more in-depth from today.
Okay. And with that, I want to thank you all for attending, and I hope you find it useful, and hope to see you on Thursday. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.